Happy New Year! We made it! Woo! Man, it feels so good to have rounded the corner. This video, I think, is something that we are all doing at this moment. Personally, I like to reflect. I'm a big reflector. I think that looking at the past helps us to reshape the future. So I wanted this video to be a reflection on 2020. And I know a lot of us are probably like, hey, yo, I don't want to think about 2020 anymore. I'm moving on. But what I want to do is I want to break down some of the things that actually worked in 2020 because yes, there were some takeaways that I think we can carry forward. I want to start the video with something that a few of you have asked me, and that is, do you remember this time last year, the New Year's video was creating an intentions box. And so I had us all take a moment to grab a box, to decorate it with images and wording of dreams and hopes and things that we wanted for ourselves in 2020. Now, I've had this down in my office. I look at it every single day. What's so interesting is as I go over this box and all of the things that are on it, it really blew my mind because as sucky as I thought 2020 was, and all of us did, there were a lot of things on this box that actually happened. So just real quick to go over, pray, God, faith. Yes, huge part of my life. Taking supplements, you betcha, and big time this year. Going for walks outside, yes. Working with my camera, maybe not as creatively as I wanted, but this YouTube channel, yeah, that's a big time creative concept with my camera. Okay, so this one fell hugely short, and that is the dream beach vacation. All right, so we're gonna X that. Clarity in 2020, I'll say. Hand-holding on the beach, that didn't happen. But you know what? There was a lot of hand-holding and a lot of couple time, which I'm grateful for. Reading, yes. Writing, yes. Be bold and be blessed, kind of my mantra. Keeping that eye on the prize, yes. Fashion, I wound up doing a lot of style videos in 2020, more than I usually do, and you guys really, really responded to those. So yes. A quote from Audrey Hepburn, of course. Juicing, you bet. Healthy food, yes. Yoga, a double and triple yes. Time with friends, probably not as much as I would have liked, but I found it to be deeper and more intimate. So the quality made up for the quantity. And prioritizing sleep, heck to the yes. That was a biggie. So all in all, ironically, it wasn't so bad when I look at the goals and the dreams and the aspirations that I had for myself. And you may find the same thing too. If you made an intentions box and you look through it, that may catch you by surprise as well. But I really want us to take what we've learned over the past year, take the good, carry it over, learn from the not so good so that maybe we don't repeat certain mistakes or behaviors. But I really believe that a life reflected leads to a life connected. And we all want to be connected. We want to be connected to ourselves. We want to be connected to our partner, our spouse, our children, our friends, our community, our God. So I think it is important to unzip and dig and get inside, because I think the more we understand and the better we understand ourselves, the better able we will be to be good for others in our lives that we wish to have a great, wonderful, and beautiful and spiritual relationship. So I'm going to go on with number one. And for me, the first lesson that 2020 taught me is that if we think we are in total control of our lives, we have learned that we have no say and no control over anything. And as a former control freak and perfectionist, okay, let me rephrase, as a former perfectionist, but really letting go, trying of the control freak part, I had to learn a lot about what it is that I cannot control. And my shift became, instead of putting my spotlight on my circumstances, my mindset was, okay, I can't change my circumstances. So instead of highlighting those, I'm going to highlight my God, and I'm going to put it up to Him, put my faith in Him. It's where I derive my peace and my comfort in what it is that I can't control, and then focus on what it is that I can control. And so that separation and that letting go of the unknown and these things that were kind of coming at us all throughout the year, changes, limitations, health issues, you name it. It was a year. It was an ugly year, but I tried my best to do my best with what it is that I could do, relinquish the control and the frustration and the anger from all of these things that I had dreamt about, hoped about, and couldn't do, and kind of took a breath and backed off a little bit, try to lose a little bit of that rigidity. So I started to think of myself as being a little bit more like Play-Doh, something a little bit more bendable and malleable and movable, something that can fit and plug into certain situations as opposed to being rigid and stuck and hard and only one way. So trying to lose that rigidity, which is a hard thing to do for a control freak, is not easy. And it's not to say that I don't have a level of expectations or I'm stopping my desire to strive for excellence. That's not the case. I still do. But when you can't control a situation or you can't control others, sometimes you got to kind of stand down on that and not be so harsh and not be so rigid. Let it be more of a discussion. Let it be more of an ease, a little bit more of acceptance of time and patience. Boy, patience was a big lesson learned in 2020 to be able to carry over to this year. So that was a big one for me, is just the whole control thing. Number two is, when we removed life as we knew it, when we removed business, when we removed going to offices, when we removed trips and travel and parties and charity events and all of these things that we used to do, and we would look at our schedules and they were packed, with obligations and commitments and after school events with our kids and soccer practice and, this and on and on and on. I found that I thought I was going to lose experience. I'm missing out on all of these experiences. But what I actually discovered, and maybe you too, was that I got a new experience, and that was one with myself, which took on a whole new meaning. Because when the outside world shuts down and you can't do all that you used to be able to do, suddenly there's a little bit more time for you to do what you need to do. So I found myself asking really big, profound life questions because I actually have the time to think for a change, right? Instead of all that moving, we're thinking about life, thinking about direction, thinking about the meaning of joy. I had more time with myself than ever before. I know you did too. And I think that, whenever the new normal comes back, whatever that looks like, I can promise you, I am not going to put myself in the same situation that I was in 2019, which was the yes ma'am, the pleaser, sure I can do it, when in the back of my mind I'm thinking, why did I just commit to that? I will find a better way to balance things and to make sure that I don't lose myself in the process, because I really enjoyed kind of getting to know myself. It was a pivoting, a repurposing. It was a time to actually think about some really, really big things, and it led to a lot of epiphanies, and I'm sure you can say the same thing in your life too. Also, we all have friends, but did you notice something interesting in your friendships? And this is the third thing that hit me this year, is that I found that, the people who would always kind of keep in touch with text and, hey, how are you? And all of that, the sort of the peripheral, I found a lot of that dropped off. But I also found that the ones who were willing to go deep and who brought meaning and who had history or who was sort of doing the same kind of soul searching as well, I found that the nature of those friendships and the connection and those roots went so much deeper than they had before. And I found that people got to know me way better than they previously had. I was more willing to be open and to share. I found my friends were willing to do the same thing, and I got to know them on a deeper and more intimate level. I think, people can be so protective and there's the shield, and they don't want to share, their fears for fear that they'll be seen as weak or lesser than. And I think people were actually willing to go there, and I loved that. I found the quality of friendships in some cases got so much richer and more beautiful. And then I found that some friends who, you know, I thought were there, weren't there so much. And that's okay too. I mean, it's not to say everybody's going to be your best friend and everybody's going to be intimate, but I think that, you know, understanding it's like a ring of circles. You know, you got your tight ring and the next ring and the next ring, and they all serve their purpose and they can all bring joy in your life. But that inner ring, that really tight ring, became very, very precious to me. And so those quality of people and the quality of friendships and the history and all of that I found to be super special and precious. The next reflection that I'd like to bring into this is family dynamics. And boy, I bet we can all agree that this was a huge one this year, because never before have we all been under the same roof for this length of time, right? You know, everybody's officing out of the house, the kids are schooling out of the house, so the kitchen table becomes the office, and then the dining room table becomes the computer station where the kids are doing school, and everybody's sitting there under one house and trying to figure it all out and make it happen. And so it really changed how we interacted with each other. And I found, just through talking with people that I knew, and even a good friend of mine who's a therapist, there were two distinctive things that happened here. Some couples that had been separated through work, you know, maybe husband travels a lot or the wife travels a lot. And so there was a lot of business and a lot of commitment keeping two people away from each other. This sort of thrust under one roof really brought some couples together. It forced discussion. It forced connection to happen where disconnection had been happening. And in some cases, friends of mine that I know, marriages that were sort of on the brink, people actually reunited and got closer, and they were able to bridge the gap because they actually had to talk to each other and deal with each other and deal with the children and with parenting and being more present. And so in some cases it brought people together. And there were other cases where relationships were already on the brink of people struggling being around each other too much. And now you pile on not being able to leave and everybody under one roof, and couples that were struggling in their relationship and really questioning if their partner was right for them or if they had shared interest anymore, shared joy, if there was actually love and passion left in the relationship. It was a big identifier and time for a lot of couples to do that deep soul searching. And a lot of people made big decisions in their lives about, you know, do they continue? And if so, do they continue with therapy? Or maybe, you know, it's past that point and it's time to move on and redefine and all of that. So relationships, I think, really came to a head, and family dynamics were big. Our children benefited so much by having us present, by having us in their lives and guiding them. And we benefited by being around our children more. I think the biggest struggle for them was just the lack of structure, the lack of being able to be around friends, that social interaction, the break, you know, kids wanting, it's like, okay, I've had enough of you, mom and dad, y'all are great, but I need to go see my friend and I really need to go burn it up on a soccer field. And so, you know, having to manage all of that and get creative with our children and get them to be physical and get them to be connected took on a whole new meaning. But I think we really went above and beyond in terms of family dynamics and making all of that work. And I have to say, hands down, our pets, dogs, cats, birds, fish, whatever, were the ultimate winners in all of this because we played with them, we interacted with them, we were petting them. They were like our emotional support animals throughout 2020. God love our animals. And they love us that much more. So big winners of 2020. Okay, where am I? Oh, number 5 on my list is self-care. And boy, did we need it this past year. I mean, you know, I'm a news anchor, and I have to say, there were people who would say to me, I'm sorry, but I just can't watch. And I get it. I get it. There's only so much you can take of the information that was being put out on a daily basis in 2020. Sometimes you just need to tune out. And from, you know, maybe taking a nice hot bath with Epsom salts and putting on a sheet mask, and then getting out your yoga mat and scents and candles and listening to some good music and a podcast or a home-cooked meal by candlelight, and then your favorite show on Netflix. I mean, that became date night. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And it was dreamy, and it was so much more about wanting it. It became how much we needed it. And I think we all realize that, if we are constantly paying out of that bank account and not putting deposits in, we are flat out broke. And so whatever self-care looked like, whether it was just a little walk in the park or a meditation or, going online church, whatever it was, I think we all truly benefited from self-care and getting in touch with our needs. You responded so much to my video with Dr. Susan and about care in midlife, hormones, and the physical changes that our bodies were going through. And I think a lot of you just said, you know what, enough is enough. I've got to take care of me. I've got to be a priority. I've got to feel good in my own skin. I deserve better. I deserve more. And yay you, if that epiphany hit you in 2020. And I really hope that that carries on for you into this new year, because you and those around you are the ultimate beneficiaries of that. That I can say for sure. Number 6 is, I'm a firm believer in the law of attraction, and you know what that is. What you put out is what you get back. So if you're putting out negativity or complaining or just kind of wallowing in the land of not enough, then that's what we're going to get in return. We're going to get complaining, we're going to get negativity, and we're going to get not enough. And so sometimes it's the hardest thing to do, but what it is that we actually want in life is what we've got to put out. And you want kindness, put out kindness. You want positivity, put out positivity. Joy, joy. And it's the weirdest thing, because you may not feel it in the moment. You may feel mad, angry, sad, grumpy, devastated, frustrated, all of that. But somehow, some way, I know that when I get out of that funk and I just dig in and I just want to unleash on somebody. But if I just find a way to shut it off and then approach, my son or my husband with just a nice warm hug and an I love you, it's amazing what comes back to you tenfold. So I'm such a big believer in that. And I'm such a big believer that the world needs to be a kinder place. I think that, with where we are, just in 2020, everybody's doing such an unleashing and a tongue lashing, and you see it all over social media, you see it in comment section, and it's hurtful and it's mean-spirited, and it makes me feel, interestingly, badly for the person who's putting that out there, because I think, gosh, you must have been dealt a really bad deck of cards. Somebody must have been mean, hurtful, negative toward you for you to spit out that kind of vitriol towards somebody else. And so I see it, and I just try to, either I delete if I don't want it in there, or just say, hey, maybe you're going through something bad, and I'm here to listen. And I think there's no greater gift than being able to do that. Obviously, is gratitude for what's good. We have to find those moments in the midst of the loss and the sadness and the frustration and the lack of getting what it is we feel we need, desire, or deserve. There are still those little nuggets that I think we can find that we can offer gratitude for. And, every day, if you wake up in the morning, thank you, God, for this breath. Thank you, God, for this roof over my head, or take a peek outside. Oh, thank you for the beautiful blue sky today. Anything just to offer up thanks. It's amazing what a Thanksgiving is, what it does. I know how much better I feel when I just offer up thanks, even in the midst of the crap. I find thanks in something, and it turns my attitude upside down, and it just makes me feel so much better. I mean, grateful that I'm not sitting in traffic that used to take 45 minutes to get to work, and now it's just 20 minutes. I mean, I think we can all find something to find gratitude for. Even the things that we once took for granted, like going to parties and dancing. And, you know, I know that whenever that comes back, and the first time I'm out on a dance floor, you know, dancing to the Bee Gees music, which, by the way, the HBO Bee Gees documentary, if you haven't seen it by now, you must see it. It's incredible, because if you're of this generation, and I know you are, it's going to make you feel so good inside, and it's going to touch your soul. But I know the minute I'm back on the dance floor having fun, I will be so dang grateful for that moment. So looking for gratitude in all things and all places. The next is, I think, offering grace to others. This is something that I want to carry forward, because there were a lot of people in pain and suffering and dealing with tremendous loss. And so I think sometimes just being there for somebody, not casting judgment, and being a good listening ear. One of my favorite expressions is, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. And it's true, we should spend more time listening than talking. And so giving somebody that gift of an ear is really the best thing that we can do. You know, maybe somebody just needs to vent, to be there for them. Maybe they need a little guidance or direction, but being present, offering grace, you know, learning how to zip it when you're up to here and you want to say something, maybe finding a kinder way of doing it. Number 9 on my list is never stop learning. And one of the things in 2020, because I think we had more time, and I know a lot of us were doing a lot more reading, and a lot of you shared with me that you were actually trying new things. You know, you were trying some of my new makeup techniques and tricks, or dipping back into an old hobby or an old passion, or just learning something new. And I think that's a great thing. I think when life is so busy, as it had been prior to 2020, we don't have enough opportunity to cultivate time to learn new things and to discover new passions. And so a lot of you really went there, and you were just learning new ideas and new ways of living. And I know that you really benefited from it, and I did too. So I'm looking forward to carrying that forward. Number 10 on my list is to be honest. And, you know, I think as women, you know, it's been said that we multitask well, and we have lots of plates spinning in the air, right? You know, we can do it. But just because we can do it doesn't mean that it's joyful doing it. And I think sometimes we just have to be honest with ourselves and those in our lives who matter to us. That if they're doing things that are irritating, or if there's some way of functioning that's truly dysfunctional and not serving, or let's say you feel like you're doing too much and others aren't picking up the slack. I think as women, we tend to hold it in, and it's almost as if we try to prove to ourselves, well, I can do it. You know, I'll take it on. And we become the martyr, right? Look how much I can do. Look what all that I'm doing for this family, and I never get any credit. And so we become like these volcanoes that are, you know, the smoke starting to come out, and then all of a sudden, and the lava's flowing, and everybody in our lives are getting burned. I really think that being honest about what's going on in your life, what your needs are, what your desires are, and the effective communication of that, so that we don't become volcanoes and blow. Because I think a lot of us blew. At least there were moments in 2020. I blew. I'm fessing up. I blew. And it's not a fun thing. And so I think it's better to have little seepages, right? Little moments to let some smoke out here and there, so it doesn't become this giant, massive volcano with hot lava and everybody's pissed off. Okay, so that's number 10, is just to be honest. And number 11, my 11th reflection is that 2020 just turned 21, so it can now drink. So cheers to you. Cheers to you being here and being a part of this community and this channel. This is where I say to you, lay it out. We got a whole year to look forward to. So if there's anything that you want or need from me, and if you think I remotely have the skill set or the knowledge to be able to provide it, lay it out below. If I don't, maybe I'll learn it and try to do that for you. It's for all of us, we ladies in our prime, who are looking to live, feel, and be our absolute best. And we're always redefining ourselves, and I think that's a good thing. And that's why I love the term reflection. And if you've had any reflections or epiphanies, lay them out below as well. Subscribe, as always. I ask that you do that. It just grows the community, and it makes it a bigger, better, more beautiful place because it includes you and your beauty. So that's why I want you here. Ring the bell. That way you'll be notified every Thursday at 1 o'clock. Yes, I normally publish on Thursday, but today's New Year's Day. It's Friday. Okay. Okay, that's it. Anyway, go out, be bold, and be blessed. I love you, and I will see you next Thursday at 1 o'clock. Bye.